thank you. So this panel is in a co-collaboration between Brisbane Writers Festival and LeBois. The festival is called Room for Dreaming, Original Storytellers. It's online and live now, so if you want to check it out, there's a lot of great content from local First Nation storytellers, and it's really beautiful. This is going to be filmed and up there in a couple of days. With that, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I'd like to acknowledge the storytellers and their elders as well, as they carry on those stories in their respective art forms. And thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello, thank you. The two poems I'm going to perform tonight are basically from the set Future Ancestors. I see my co-collaborator in the audience, Ethan Enoch, and Navi Karan are also part of the project, so I hope you enjoy. My name was my name before I walked among the living, before I could breathe, before I had lungs to fill, before my great-grandmother passed and everyone was left to grieve. My name was birthed from a dream, a whisper from God to a king, a shout into the stars that produced another that shone as bright. They held me without being bent, humming lullabies in pidgin. My name was passed down from my ancestors. They acknowledged my roots grew in two places, so they ripped my names from the oceans and mixed it into the bloodlines of my totems. My name has survived the destruction of worlds and the genocidal rebirthing of so-called ones. It's escaped the overwhelmed jaw of the death bringer many a times. It has survived the conflicts that resulted in my gods from both lands, knowing me as kin, but noticing that I am painfully unrecognizable and lost. They are incapable of understanding the foreign tongue that was forced on me. My name has survived cyclones and their daughters. It's been blessed by the dead as they mix dirt, salt, and liquid red into my flesh. My name is the definition of resilience. It is a warrior that manifested because of warriors. So, excuse me as I sigh or roll my eyes as you mispronounce my name over and over again, or when you give me another that dishonors my mothers and fathers, that doesn't acknowledge my lineage to my island homes or sense of rainforest and ocean foam, you will not stand here on stolen land and whitewash my name. For it is two words intertwined, as powerful as a hurricane. Say it right, or don't say it at all. For I am Malaika. I will answer when you call. Thank you.
Yamagara, thanks for coming and joining us tonight. I just wanted to formally introduce our speakers that we have here tonight. My name is Warraba Weatherall, and I'll be your host. So, from our panelists, we have Grace Lucas Pennington, is a Bunjalung editor specialising in fiction and poetry. She works in the Australian publishing industry as a creative consultant, peer assessor, guest lecturer, and industry advisor. She is passionate about developing and promoting First Nation storytelling. She is the senior editor at the State Library of Queensland Black and White Indigenous Writing and Editing Project. This year she won the 2020 Nakata Brophy Short Fiction and Poetry Prize for her poem Superposition. Sue McPherson is a visual artist living in Yamundi, Queensland. She was born in Sydney to an Aboriginal mother from Wiradjuri country. Sue was adopted into the McPherson family, landowners from the Battler area in New South Wales when she was very young. A weekend writing workshop inspired Sue to join a writers group and commit to writing a young adult novel, Grace Beside Me, which won the Kurral Dargan Indigenous Writing Competition through the State Library of Queensland. This book was also made into a live action series in 2018. Seychum Parkin Owens is an Aboriginal and African American poet. His Indigenous ties come from Minjalaba, North Stradbroke Island, where his family currently reside and have for multiple generations. He is also an African American man from Tampa, Florida. Seychum grew up listening to stories from his grandmother, aunties, uncles, mum and dad about experiences they and his ancestors have been through. Seychum sees himself as a vessel for his people's stories, meaning he feels his ancestors speak through his poetry as he writes. This year he released his new single Gemini and also Motherland. Malaika Gesafarafahi, aka Vika Mana, is a proud Torres Strait Islander and Tongan storyteller that takes many forms. They descend from the Zagreb and Dawareb tribes of Mer Island and the village of Whaheffa in Tonga. They perform poetry, write criticism, breathe life into worlds. They've written for Overland, The Big Issue, The Saturday Paper, and several publications, both at home and internationally. Can we just welcome these panelists? So, first of all, just because we've got such a stellar lineup here, I wanted, and ensuring the actual title of the panel discussion, which is Take Space, Make Space, Agency, Urgency, and the stories that feed us. I just wanted to ask each of the panelists to describe how they understand the role of the storyteller and what inspires them to perform.
I guess I'm first because I'm next to the host. So I think before I do start, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're gathered on today and acknowledge that this land that we're on today is been a trading route from my people over in Minjalaba for thousands of years, so lots of ties here. But getting back to your question, for me, like the importance of storytelling and the role of a storyteller is, especially in the context that we're speaking of being like First Nation and of that descent, it's extremely important, it's very significant because you look through history and you look at the past and a lot of stories have been told for us, not by us. And I think that coming into this new age of, this next generation, I guess, of storytellers, that's something that we kind of have made very vocal about what our intentions are in our storytelling, and that is telling our own stories, taking control of our own stories. And I guess a lot comes with that when it comes to telling our own stories. Like, I know when I started out, it was very difficult for me to feel as if I was worthy of telling my own story because of many reasons, but I think only now I'm starting to understand, only now and still learning that the importance of being a storyteller and having that representation, especially in my industry, the hip-hop industry, the music industry. It's very rare to see black fellas telling black fella stories. So for me, that's the significance of it.
Nope. Thanks. Yes, that's so right, Shashem. We haven't been in charge of our own stories as much as we should have been for a long time there. And I would also acknowledge that I'm not on my country. I'm a Bundjalung woman, and so I do pay my respects to Turrbal and Yagara for being here tonight, and thank them and their elders for all the work that they continue to do. But to come back to your question, whether the role of the storyteller, there's so many, isn't there? There's responsibilities and the obligations, to entertain, to share, to bring knowledge, to shine a light on something that's not there before, or has maybe been hidden away. For me, storytelling is about truth. It's about your truth and your story and what you see in the world. And the role of a storyteller is really, in a way, quite simple. It's to teach us how to live better together in the world that we're in, and to see that and to make that happen. And I think the way a story does that is to take something that's really big. We all know that war is bad and love and kindness are good, but the way we need to keep telling that, and we need to be told that in new ways and different ways for us to understand that. So a story takes something, a big idea like love or kindness or war or peace, and it puts it into a way that we can understand and relate to in our own lives, and it helps us to live better. And I think that's the real role of stories and storyteller.
That's so deadly. Like, what do I have to add? No. Also, just quickly, because it is always was, always will be the thing this year. So I also want to not quickly, I'm going to take my time. Acknowledge the Yagara and Turrbal people whose land I am on today. I am an uninvited guest, and this is stolen land. Thank you. So yes, this is unceded, and sovereignty was never ceded. So the long question, what is the role of a storyteller? Oh mate, there's too many roles. The main one is being, again, carrying culture and making sure our young ones know what we know forever, if that makes sense. You can't pass knowledge if you don't storytell. That is the only way. And a lot of people construct storytelling as an oral storytelling or written word, and it's just like, nah, you can dance, like you can shake a leg, that's storytelling too. Like, a lot of people restrict, well, not us, we know what storytelling is, but when you go into like colonial institutions and they call you a storyteller, they forget that you're multifaceted, like you're really talented. Like, I can spit a bar right now and you'd probably be like, damn, that's storytelling there, I'm telling you. Like, a lot of people forget that we storytell in many different ways, and it's also just not for culture and carrying on our knowledge, but it's also just to be like, this is who we are, like, Why would we change who we are? Why would we restrict our very essence of who we are for people who are on this land? Like, storytelling is like a form of resistance, is what I'm trying to say. It's our way to be like, you might have done all these things, but I'm still here. Like, my ancestors made sure I was still here. So I'm gonna still storytell. I'm gonna still do the things that they taught me, and I'm gonna make sure that my young ones are gonna do the same thing. So for me, storytelling is resistance and carrying on culture. Stop it.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yep. So I'm a bit of a weirdo. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I think a bit different to other people, and I get called out a lot because of it. But that's okay. For me, storytelling, I'm only here because of story. I'm only here because of my characters. Regardless of who they are, where they're from, what they've done. And if I can tell their story, if they speak to me, I have to listen. And if I'm listening, I have to tell their story their way. It's regardless if I agree with what they have to say or not. If they piss me off, oh, sorry, I forgot there were kids in here, so sorry. I'm naughty. Regardless of how I feel, I've got to put all of that aside and run with what my characters ask me to do. And it's not easy. It's bloody hard. But my storytelling has changed since Black and White Fellowship, the first, when I won that. I sort of pandered to what I thought storytelling was all about, but that was just me. That's how I just thought what I should do. But I've grown up a little bit and out a little bit, and I think I've come to the conclusion, just shut up, Susie. Listen to your people, listen to the characters that have come into your life, because they've got the story. So, yeah.
Thank you. There's such a good bunch of responses for that first question. I think it's just easy just to have a yarn from here and just to vibe off it. But something that you were saying, Maleka, around storytelling can be in so many different ways. The embodiment of that, whether it's performative, writing, and that's still a performance in itself. And it makes me think of a cultural continuum, like within our worldview, within our experience. Our peoples have been doing this for generations, and I guess the question that I'm getting to within that perspective, are our stories taking on the same form as our old people have in a contemporary form? And what motivates us to do that? What is the intention behind the work that we're creating now?
So, like, if we're telling stories like our old people, is that the question? Like,
Sorry, say again?
So are we telling stories like our old people before us and what it looks like in the contemporary?
Yeah, but if we're working on a cultural continuum,
yeah,
how does that look now?
Oh, again, I think a lot of... See, that's a really deadly question, and I'm gonna think about it, but I'm gonna answer it on the spot as well. Like, for me personally, right now, English is the language that I mostly use. If I wanted to truly be storytelling like my old people and doing it proper, I would have to speak in Meriam Mer, and I feel like I always see my cousins and my aunties talking to my parents. Even my dad, he's Tongan, but he understands. They just be talking, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I feel like I'm 4 years old again. I wish I was yarning with yous, but I can't because I don't speak that language. I can speak Tertiary Creole, but sometimes words feel heavy in my own mouth. It feels weird, and it isn't my fault. I moved down here and I got put into a speech pathology class. I got separated from all the kids, and they taught me English. And it was proper like, oh, I thought I was dumb, but they were just teaching me colours in the way that they wanted me to say it. Like I was like, I know what green is, I know what brown is, I know what yellow is, but you have to pronounce it like this, Mele. You're not pronouncing my name right. How am I supposed to pronounce these colours for you? Like, come on now. But it's this whole expectation where I feel uncomfortable trying to tell stories like my old people, but I also know that my old people know that I'm telling the stories that we have in a way that they're proud of. Because when I went back home recently, and I remember all my old people just being like, "We're so proud of you." And I was like, "Yeah, you haven't seen me in 14 years." And they're like, "Yeah, we see it on Facebook." I was like, "Oh, here we go." But yeah, they're like, I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. Like, we're still interconnected, they're still proud of me. And if I was doing something silly, they would pull me in and they would tell me straight up. But I haven't done that yet. So I know, like, in the contemporary world, storytelling does shift. And I think in the sense that it shifts in the colonial institutions. So let me explain that properly. We still storytell, but white people think that it's so like interesting and new, but it's just like, yeah, we've been doing this forever. It's just the first time you've been able to see it. It's been the first time you've been able to hear it. Like, this has always existed, but now that you're more open to black people being in the same spaces as you're finally hearing it. So that's my answer. Like, I can storytell like my old people, but I also feel uncomfortable. But I know that even if I do storytell now, my old people are still proud of me and they support me. So I got really deadly old people that I'm going to call them tonight.
Deadly. Yeah, they love you. They've been watching you on Facebook. They'll watch this too. I guess what I understand is that what you're saying, like storytelling, always done that in so many different ways. Song, dance, visual art, words, everything, poetry. That's all storytelling, and that's all what we've been doing, and that's what we are still doing. And the reasons we tell stories haven't changed. We tell them to entertain our kids. We tell them to teach our kids, to share our lives with people, to understand ourselves. And that's all the things our ancestors were doing as well. That hasn't changed. All that's changed is we've moved from ochre to acrylic, or from this language into this. And it's just these new contemporary forms that, I reckon if our ancestors were here today, they'd be making TikToks as well, They'd be telling stories. They would be, they'd be using, spray paint or whatever it is to send those same messages that we want to send, that we are here and we are proud of who we are and we know who we are and we want to share that. And it's interesting that people are maybe more ready to listen to that now.
Yeah.
But our ancestors have been saying the same things that we're saying. We're here. This is our land, and these are our people. And that hasn't changed at all.
Thank you both. I think with me, it's in terms of like the continuum, like where we're at now. I think that, to follow on what these two are saying, is that it's always been told. Like, it's like, it's been happening, and the only thing that's changing is where it's accepted, and where we can get access to, and I think that that's where the responsibility lies on the community, big ups to Le Bois, QUT. It's, obviously a educational institution that has been founded on stolen land, and meaning that this venue has as well. And the fact that we're sitting here now telling our story is no different to me sitting in my room and having a yarn to my little brothers. The only difference is that I'm sitting here in a space that was opened up for us. And I think that that's where we're at now. I think that the story has been told. There's been no change in that. There's been no diversion from that. But it's been I think that's the responsibility now lies on the institutions and the venues to open these spaces up. And and I guess it's for me to like. It's funny because you can have a venue open, you can have a black event, but then in the same sense, they won't say. I'll just put this as an example. Hypothetically speaking, but no, seriously, literally, there was an event at Griffith University, and when I was about 18, and I went there and I performed, and the sound was terrible. There was no publicity done, no nothing run, so that there was no backing financially behind it. And then I went, when I was working there at Griffith this year, I saw that there had been an event put on, and it was just like this kind of post-COVID, kind of thing, whatever it might have been. And it was smashed on Facebook, smashed on Instagram. They had a stage, they had I don't know if it was proper lighting, but that, you know what I mean? They're putting money into it. So I guess it comes down to putting that same importance on our stories, investing into our stories, because ultimately they're the stories of this land. And if you want to talk in a spiritual sense, if we're talking these stories from our experience, we're talking the vibrations of the land, we're talking the frequency of the land, and that's healing, Telling our stories is healing, not only to us, but to the land. So, I think the responsibility, when I come back to your question, the story's been happening, the continuum's continued. It's now just a matter of knocking on the door and saying, look, we're here now, open up and let us talk.
Yeah. I agree with spirituality. I mean, if it wasn't for spirituality, I certainly wouldn't be here. It's guided me through nearly 53 years. I know. Yep.
Same age as me. Sisters.
With Grace beside me, regardless of who comes in, my characters come in. The oldies, I have because I'm Irish also, that's that bit there, and I love my Irish mob as well, and they come in and they're loud too, eh? So regardless of who comes in, they want to get their story out, and especially with Grace beside me. Oh, bloody hell. So what happened was I went to a writer's workshop, and I didn't think I was very good at it. I came home, and that night Nan from Grace beside me came in a dream. I know, I'm weird. And it was about 2:00 in the morning, and I just fobbed her off. I'm thinking, no, this is not right. This is not real. And she's throwing down story, just when you're connected, you just get this hit and you just go, when you're connected. And she hit so hard that I had to get up and go down to the dining room and start writing. So they can be very powerful, the old girls and boys. And so thereafter, this happened on and off for a couple of years. And I remember once where I was sick and tired of her, right? She just gave me, and I didn't want to do anymore. And fair dinkum, I had a dream, and next minute this watermelon just came for my head, and I jumped out of bed and I screamed so that my husband had to calm me down and put me right again. So I don't know, I am a widow, aren't I? Yeah. So it's just powerful stuff for me, and I guess for a lot of us, we're all storytellers, by the way, so watch those watermelons.
I think, where was that at? Within your own practices, whatever creative outlet that is within writing or performing, is there something that you feel you need to adhere to within your, whether it's a personal protocol or a cultural one, an artistic sort of one? Is there something that you embed in your process that is important to the integrity of the work? And what motivates you to create that work? Does that exist for every piece of work, or does each one change?
I think, well, for me, yes, there are things that I do implement. It's not like a thing where I'm like, I'm going to do this, and then I do it. It's more like it comes to me, and then I decide whether or not I want to use it. And I just talk more in context of, making people feel uncomfortable with my words. Being a black male, being a black man, visibly black male, also sometimes look like I'm not even from here. When it comes to me telling my story, specifically like rapping, I try to, how do I put it? Catch people off guard, I guess. They wouldn't expect black fella like me, Jordans, khaki, like camo pants on, I had wearing inside. You wouldn't expect me to get up and bust up like my poem, my ancestors. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. Breaking those barriers down. And then when it comes to my rapping, I think Australia, especially, has a really obscure view on hip hop. It's this real like gangster, like hippity hoppity. I quote. It's not my words. Type of deal. So when I get on stage and I rap, I don't. My cultural protocol. Well, and plus I am a black American man, so like I'm inserting my cultural protocol there, but I don't hold back. Hey, like I'll say whatever I want. I'll say however I want. I'll say C word, F word, whatever. I don't care. That's your uncomfortability, That's my protocol. And I think when it comes to storytelling, like that's what it has to come down to, is like not censoring yourself, and it's not compliant, not complying. I've never been compliant, My teacher, I've always, every year, my bloody report card in school, Sachem doesn't listen, Sachem distracts the classroom, this. So I think it's just in my blood to kind of push against. And I know that when I walk into a room full of white people, the thing that catches them off guard is me being me. And so that's what I do. Just be me.
There's a few things, I think, for my own integrity that I do, and one of them, as Sashir mentioned, is that cultural protocol and where to draw the line, whose story you can tell. That's one of the biggest and the foremost, and you can't speak for anyone else unless you're working with them, but then you still can't tell their story. So that's one thing that's absolute for me, and in my practice as a poet. And that's also about truth, I think, and I'll probably say truth a lot tonight, so watch out. Maybe get some truth bombs as well. So it's about my integrity in my own practice. And then as an editor, it's about, when I'm working with writers and working with creatives, it's about their truth, and it's about being true to that, and it's just about put your ego down, listen to what the story is, listen to what's being said, listen to what they want to say, and helping them do that. in a way that's true for them, and that they can go away and be proud of what they've said or done or written or whatever it is. I also have a really strong personal obligation to not do harm in my writing, to make a space for people to come in, even if what I'm writing is angry or it's protest. It's like, it's not, even if I'm blaming someone, and that's not to say to be soft in your attack or anything, but it's also about you tell your own truth, not to do harm to others, but so they can listen to you and to see you. And when you claim space, that shouldn't be a harmful act, that shouldn't be an act of violence. It should be an act of openness and empathy almost for you to be seen is what you're asking. You're not attacking. Well, for me anyway, I don't want to attack people, but I do want them to see if I'm angry about something. And if I do, it is resistance as well. And it's holding your own rather than attacking. That's something that's really important to me, because that's how you get people to listen. As soon as you attack someone, their brain switches off, and they can't listen to your stories. The story says that way, kind of what you said about getting them off guard, getting them when they don't expect it. That's when you get the truth in, because if they're not listening, sometimes you got to surprise them.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. Cultural protocol I always follow in the sense that if I trust myself when I write or make art or rap, but when I'm unsure, I always ask someone else in my family or whoever's near me who's also a Black fellow, and I'm just like, yeah, does this make sense? Like, is this appropriate? Should I be saying this? Like, that's what I follow. But a personal, I have so many personal protocols. One, I always aim to just make people laugh. I don't know, it's just my personality. I just love laughter. I grew up with 9 siblings, and that's why I think I'm a comedian. I literally entertain children all day, and I love when I implement that within my performance or art. And I think even in my bios, if you Google me, I don't take bios seriously. There's a joke in there. There's always a joke in there, because I feel like for me to be who I am, I have to continue doing I have to be me no matter where I am. So even if I was performing to white people, I'm not going to be this respectable person. I'm going to be the same person who goes back home and washes the dishes and sits on the couch with her 2-year-old sister watching some animated Magpie, whatever, and we're both gonna have the best feed from McDonald's down the road. That's the same person who's here in the seat. I might look, that's still deadly. But I make sure that I'm the same person, and I think I accomplish that everywhere I go. So a lot of people would just say, "Oh, you're so nice and kind," and I'm just like, "Yeah, no." My parents brought me up really deadly, but that's one of my personal protocols that I always try to follow. And the second one is I don't give a damn if I break a white person's brain, in the sense that if my writing doesn't make sense to them. My writing is always slotted as experimental, because white people have never seen that on the page. But my old people have been saying the same things that I've been saying. It's just on a piece of paper now. It's so hard for white people to conceptualize oral stories in the way that I conceptualize them on paper. A lot of people just, they literally just oh, that doesn't make sense, but it still touched me. It still moved me, and I'm just yes, because I'm a deadly storyteller, okay? This is how we storytell. And it's just your first time seeing it on page. But yeah, that's one of my personal protocols, is always just breaking the boundaries of colonial storytelling, because I don't want to be the next Shakespeare. I don't even know that man. I want to be the next me. I feel like a lot of people just strive to be the next big thing or next person. Look, I just want to be like my old people. I don't want to be like my papa. I want to be like them. I don't really care for literature. I just want to storytell. So yeah, those are my personal and cultural protocols that I always try to follow.
Yeah, I like it. For me, I'm a huge believer in free speech as a creative person. Without that, I would die, and I'd be just so bound and gagged that I wouldn't be up here. I wouldn't be writing. I just wouldn't be in this arena at all. So that's extremely important to me. So every time I put pen to paper or start typing or start thinking, that's always in the back of my mind. So, which is good because it allows, like, once again, my characters are okay to come in. The writer's block that I get is when I back up against that. It just stops the flow, and that's not a good thing. The other thing, I work a lot with my ego. She's a cheeky one, that one. And we row like you wouldn't believe. But the beautiful thing about her is that we both have a cool relationship and we can push each other right, actually sometimes over the edge. And that's a good thing because that's where the real gritty story comes from, and I love grit. So we work well together. I also play with screenwriting, and with screenwriting, if you're specifically working within a community, you have to make sure things are done properly. So having said all that about being an author, as a screenwriter, I absolutely run with protocol. Yeah, make sure everything's spot on, because it's just not fair to that community otherwise. So, but on my own, look out, yeah.
Some really great responses there, and two things that sort of stuck with me was your response around free speech, but also a section about censorship. And it gets me thinking, I think that throughout a lot of our practices, whatever we're doing within the creative fields, including myself as a visual artist, censorship is something that we come up against day in, day out. And it's usually with some other person's projection about what they're comfortable with and deriving from racial or cultural norms. Supposed norms. When that happens, I want to talk about your experiences with censorship, and what that's like, whether it's in a writing capacity, in an editing capacity, screenwriting, and I'm just also wondering, does it alleviate some of that, preempting that to happen at times, does that alleviate some of that pressure writing a fictional piece rather than non-fiction? Is it easier to put in hard truths that's more palatable without subscribing to or dumbing things down for a broader audience either? Sorry, that's a bit loaded.
No, good question. First one, in terms of censorship, I think most people here can agree that, like, when it comes to, well, I'll let you decide, but the censorship is hardest when it comes from me, because it's been inbuilt in me. It doesn't come from when someone tells me don't say something, or that tells me not to swear, or whatever. It doesn't come from that. It comes from when I'm writing, because it's inbuilt in my head. I'm trying to write that. I'm thinking, should I write this? Or maybe not. Should I write that? Maybe not. It's like, that's the hardest thing. And, it's like, feels like you're going crazy sometimes, because you're sitting there writing, and you're like, where the fuck, where are all these thoughts coming from? and why are they like, and like sometimes they're like why there's such angry thoughts, and then you realize why there's anger, and it's like that's got to be expressed, otherwise it's just going to keep, and we've seen what happens, we know what happens. So I think the battle is harder with myself in terms of the censorship. You know, that's a what's the word they call it when they take it and they in your brain they like lobotomy. Like it's just like they've taken a piece of my truth out and put it in with censorship, and it's like, you know, that's what I'm working, and I think that's what, when we talk about decolonization, I think that's what it is, you know, working towards non-censorship. And then when it comes to the question about what was the second question? About the whether it's palatable, making it palatable. You know, in my song Motherland, which you'll hear tonight, that's like it's an amazing song, and I love it. It won a big, like, the best original song award for Cube Effect with Brisbane City Council. But when I hear it now, well, I've always known it, but you hear the lyrics and they're very simple, because I tried to every extent to make it understandable for people, that connection that I have to my country. And although it did come easily, like I wrote that song in 20 minutes on an airplane, like it came super easy, but that came from years and years of practicing how to make myself more palatable, make myself more understood. And I strive to be like how Maleka says, Maleka? I strive to be like that, because that's a whole journey, you know, learning to not be understood, being okay with not being understood, you know. So that's a journey that I'm taking at the moment, and I think that this conversation will further that learning for me, but I'm sure every other black writer experiences that to some degree, and it's something that I want to strive towards. Because when I said before too that I don't care what I say, like I will say whatever I want to say. You'll see that my examples were the F word and the C word. Like, how basic is that? Like, there's so many more concepts out there that you can't even grasp, that I'll try and put into words. Or that I want to put into words, but it just simply can't be told through word. And then I guess that's when it comes into, when we talk about, we were talking in the back earlier about diversifying our artistry. You know, I just got off a conversation the other day with a photographer friend of mine. I just bought a camera the other day, and I want to learn how to take photos. I want to learn how to do film, because there's other ways to be understood.
You right? Yeah. I don't think I just can't do palatable. I just do. I just do Sue. I think it doesn't work. I'm bound and gagged again, and writing stops. So we got to keep the flow going. What was the question? Censorship
and palatability.
Yeah, and censorship. See, with me, I'm a wee bit older than you lads, beautiful people here. I've been writing lately about things with mob, and the biggest censorship I am receiving is from mob, and which is totally understandable, and I get that. But it's a big deal. It's a big thing to deal with. I'm much better at dealing with it now. I could have not written what I wanted to say, or what my characters wanted to say regarding Black Lives Matter, for instance. And I could have been on a different side, but I wasn't, and that was my choice to write it like that. But the pushback, it came, but I was ready for it. So that was, I mean, I know that everything that I do from here on in I will push boundaries. I will push regardless of what side. I'll just push the boundaries and get the story out. So the censorship in that regard came from black fellas and a lot of white fellas too. But I'm absolutely okay with that. I think that's cool, and it's actually good to hear people's point of view after the fact. So I'm okay with that. Regarding fiction and non-fiction, regardless of what you write there, it's all hard. So yeah.
I was going to say that, like, a lot of people think because you're writing a fiction, like, you don't have to write truths properly. Like, you have to. It's still writing. A lot of people think you can get away with being a racist within your writing because it's fiction, and it's just like, no, like, it doesn't work like that, mate. Like, it's still racist. Like, yeah, it's still you. You're the one who put those words on paper. You're responsible for that. You're responsible for how you think about us. But yeah, like, there's all writing is all in the same playing field. With to do with censorship. I'm gonna go on a little quick yarn. So I've experienced a lot of censorship, but recently there was this time, it was very unethical, but there was this time where I wrote about the prison system and how it's inherently built like that to lock up black kids and black children. There is no good prison system because it's built like that. I come from a background that I've studied criminology and sociology for a very long time now. I'm not going to say how long because it's kind of embarrassing. But I study a lot of stuff. And I saw the final piece, and there was words that I didn't put down on that piece of paper that were printed in my name. And it's this whole disrespect but unethical way of not wanting black people to tell their truths in this colony and going ahead and not telling them about changing their work and then printing it anyway. And it was just this whole, like, not only was that disrespectful to me, but it was disrespectful to my family, to all those in prison, to those who have been in that institution. Like, it was violent. You can't put out lies and expect blackfellas to have their names next to it. And that's censorship in itself, where white people are too scared with blackfellas' truths that they go ahead and change it. And it's just, yeah, it's not just in writing, it's in art, it's in dance, it's in plays, it's in movies, films, scripts. White people are too scared of our truths because they're too afraid to admit that these things happen, and they're too afraid to actually solve these problems. So that's why the censorship exists, because then they're going to have to admit that this is stolen land, that we go through shit all the time. Sorry, God. But yeah, that's my opinion about censorship. And I'm never palatable. Again, I'm always me. And if I was palatable, I would be getting more gigs. No.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
For what you said, there's a couple of things that are going through my mind in this question, so I'll try and make it make sense. There's what we've talked about as self-censorship, there's other people's censorship, and then there's also our community censorship. And I think these are three kind of different, not quite censorship in each time, because I'll start with community, I think, in the way that it's not censoring what you say or what you feel, but it's who gets to hear that. This is for this space. And we all know this. We all know that there are spaces where it's okay to say some things, and there are spaces that it's not okay to say those things. Swearing is a really good example. You don't go to a 5-year-old kid's birthday party and start swearing your head off. You don't see your grandma and you swear it with her. There are spaces where you can do that, and that's with your friends and your peers, but you don't do that in some spaces, and that's not okay, and that's just a social thing that we all understand and we all do naturally. And for stories to be taken out of one place and to be put in another, sometimes that's not okay, and those should be censored because they shouldn't be shared for whatever reason, because people don't have the knowledge, it's not the time, it's not the space to do that. And I think that's actually a form of power, claiming that, and that's a little bit different to censorship, because that's about acknowledging who owns that story and who has the right to tell it when and where. And that's really just about respect. And what you just said about people changing your words, oh my, that is wrong.
I was like, yeah, you better give me my money and I'm not write for you ever again.
As someone who works with writers to tell their story in their words, that's my job. It's just, that's the opposite of what I could ever imagine doing to someone, and that's awful. I'm so sorry you went through that. And I think self-censorship, that's something that we all work on, that we all do in our ways, whether it's because it's a lot of fear, I think, and it's a lot of not knowing, and it is a journey. But it's also about audience, because again, if you want to say stuff to a mob, we could have a conversation in the back room, and we were in the green room before that maybe we wouldn't say here. And that's again about the space and audience and who's ready to hear that. You might write something, Sashim, that's for black fellas to hear, but not for white fellas. And that's okay, that's your choice, you know, that's yours to do that. But the self-censoring, when that gets really hurtful, is when you've got them in your head telling you that it's not okay. Someone else that you don't want there. And that's really hard, I think, to work through, and that's about trusting yourself and decolonizing your mind, I guess, and looking at the reasons for why are you afraid to say this to this person at this time. Is it because of how they'll react? Is it because you think you're wrong? And it's looking at those questions about that. But in terms of other people censoring your work after maybe it's been performed or published, deplatforming is a way of doing that. Not getting gigs is a form of censorship. People, you know, it's not just someone walking out of your performance. It's actually about them choosing not to program you because they think that they don't want to hear what you're going to say. And that's what censorship, that is real censorship. And that's, again, about maybe we don't want to talk in your spaces. We'll make our own. And this comes back to, again, audience and who are we censoring our words for? Is it because it's for us or is it because it's for you? And that's about respect and power.
Yeah, I think that was a really good summary of everyone's perspectives in that, and especially the last notes of what happens when that doesn't actually happen, you know, when this can't be upheld within the institutions. Do we create our own spaces? How can we do that and be self-determined within that? And, you know, with everything else that's happening around, you take one step forward and 2 steps back because the layers of colonialism just keep getting perpetuated. But just to change gears a little bit as well, I also wanted to ask, what is the thing that you find most empowering in your writing or your performing, and what do you hope that the response is from your readership, from your audience, from the people you're engaging with?
Does anyone?
I'll say when black fellas hype me up, I'm just like, yeah, I'm deadly. It was like when we're hyping each other up because of the fact that we find that commonality in my work. Because I remember the very first time I met someone in real life and they were like, I love your work. And I was like, no, stop it. But say it again. I walk back, say it again. Nah. But it's just like, it's surreal to be like, people, like our people love our work, and my work specifically is written to be like, yeah, your name is supposed to be said right. Like you have a beautiful black fella name. Like it's all my work is aimed for black fellas, and when I yeah, other blackfellas love it. And they hype me up. I'm just like, nah, stop it, go away.
Same time, come back.
Yeah, come back, please. But yeah, I think that's one of the most empowering things because you're just like, yeah, I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing. Like this is what I aim to do, and it's happening. All the reactions, all the people who read it. This is what I aim to do, and it's happening. And that's one of the most empowering things. The other thing is, again, having your old people be like, oh wow, like they see themselves in you. And they're like, you get really emotional when they're just like, I'm proper proud of you, like, imagine me speaking Creole right now, and then so one of my old people just telling me how much they love me and how much they see what I say in themselves as well. And it's just being able to connect young people and old people to my work. And it's just like, damn, I am deadly. Like, a lot of, like, I didn't think I was deadly. When I started my poetry career, I thought I was gammon. I was so afraid. I was so afraid that my work wouldn't be received well, in the sense that the very first audience I performed to, there was like 3 blackfellas in it. But then everybody loved it, and I was like, oh, I need to stop. And there's a sense of being like, you have to build yourself up, which is why I carry myself differently now, because I'm just like, my old people think I'm deadly, the people I perform for think I'm deadly. Why don't I think I'm deadly? Like, why do I doubt myself still? So I carry myself differently now. I think I'm proper deadly. I think I'm up here somewhere. But yeah, that's the most empowering thing. Self-empowerment and being empowered by your own people. Like, I could go on, but I won't.
I know when I know things are powerful around me, and when I'm feeling cool is when I hit that mark. The reviews are coming in after I've published something, and they're not all great, and people are triggered, and that's when I know I've done a bloody good job, because yeah, I pushed hard. And it's not that I want to make people feel uncomfortable. It's all about making them think. That's all I want to do. It's all about the story, looking after my characters, and I just want people to think. So thankfully I did that with the last book, Brontide. It was good feedback, and well, not so good feedback, but I know why, and so job was done.
Empowering. What do I find empowering? When I'm performing, or when I'm working with someone, collaborating with someone, or even just writing sometimes on my own, it's connection that makes me feel empowered. Connection to the place, the people, that time, and that moment in time, and to be, when you feel it, when you're doing something creative. And, cooking is creative, and running can be creative, and all of these things, when you just feel it and it feels right, and you're connected in your body to everything, and, straight from your brain down to your toes, there's like this white light through you, and you're just a conduit for everything else, for this creation that is happening. And it's really freeing to know that it's not just you, and you are just a vessel for this thing that is happening. And it could, it could be anyone, but it's you right now, and that's power. And when you get it and you're creating and you're in that moment, or when you're sharing with an audience and you feel that, and there's no block, there's just energy transferring between everyone in a room, and you know it when you feel it. And I think that can connect us to our ancestors, to our families, to our audiences, to people not yet born as well, or to a place, or to a non-human animal. So a connection for me is empowering.
All very relatable answers. I really find, when you said it, the first thing that came to my mind was this moment when I was driving in my car, and call me vain, but I listen to my own music. a lot for editorial purposes. No, really just to get my Spotify numbers up. Nah, but seriously though, I was driving in my car and I was like, because when I wrote Motherland, I kind of felt a little bit gammon, but not really, because I wasn't really, like, I have been connected to my mob and to my country before. That's where that reference come from for the writing, but at that point in time when I wrote it, I wasn't there. And then a bunch of stuff happened in my life, and then, as I said back there, I was working for Mum now. I'm working for my mother back on Stradbroke Island. She's doing art. She's running an art business, and I just sit in her workshop with her, and I help her print her screen prints, and I learn the stories, learn the names of everything that she's creating. And anyways, I was driving my car, and like literally the moment that I was coming back, and I was like, in my head, I was like, everything's pretty good right now. And then to lift the mood a bit more, I put my song on. And I started listening to Motherland. And then I actually listened to my words. And I was like, bloody hell, I was talking to myself the whole time. You know? I was really like talking to myself in the future. And I think that that's where my empowerment comes from. Even the other song that you'll hear tonight, Z's, I haven't released that song, but it's a whole journey. And at the end of it, like, I say this one line, one thing that's for damn sure is can't nobody be you. And that come at a point in my life too. And I was, funnily enough, when I was driving in my car, and some other stuff happened in my life, and I come to this realization, and I played that song, and then, like, just not even consciously, I just played it, and then I was talking to myself. So I think the empowerment comes, well, the real high surges of empowerment have come for me in those moments where I needed it myself, and I was talking to myself in my song, you know, and it kind of, I don't know if you've seen that movie Inception, but you know how they're just jumping all over the place. That's how I kind of felt. Like, I was like, am I in my head like 4 months ago? Like, so yeah, that's where I really felt empowered to keep creating, because I don't know what else I'm holding back.
No, I definitely understand the responses from all of you in some way. I just want to show my appreciation that I feel so actually empowered to be up here with these people and hearing your responses to that. I feel like they're identically mirrored to my life and my practice, and it's really great to hear your responses and you know what you've experienced and what inspires you, and that you're still forging forward within that, and plenty of gems that I'll be, you know, thinking through the next couple of days and you know, just mulling over that as well. So can we please give our speakers a round of applause? And to take us out tonight, we're going to have a performance from Session, so stay tuned. Cool.
Check, check, check. It's the first time I've ever started on the stage. So the first song that I'm going to perform is called Motherland. It's the one that I was speaking about before. I'll let the words tell you the story. And then the second song is Z's, and that's both of them are songs from a collection that I'll be releasing once I figure out how to move through the COVID climate. I'm going to start off stage just for drama. Yeah. Hey, yeah, we're heading back to the motherland. Hey, she shouldn't have to wait on me. Back to the motherland to find out what she means to me. Back to the motherland. I know she got a place for me. Back in the motherland. Back in the motherland. Yeah, I'm headed back to the motherland. I'm headed back to my mother's hands. I've been running, man. I've been running to a future that might never exist. I took an oath to go and search the abyss, so I did. And what I found was so profound. I searched my whole existence through my lyrics and nouns. All I knew what to do was to follow my heart. But everything that I learned just took me back to the start. We going back to the motherland. She shouldn't have to wait on me. Back to the motherland. To find out what she means to me. Back to the motherland. I know she got a place for me. Back in the motherland. Back in the motherland. Yeah, look, see I could quit it all. You never hear a bar. I might never rock a show or ever go on tour. But she's the price I pay for some gammon plays and some people to tell me they think my music bangs. Understand, this is deeper than rap. All the time I spend on making these tracks, ain't no taking it back, so ain't no time to be slack. Nah, brother, ain't no time to be slack. So I said we're heading back to the motherland. She shouldn't have to wait on me. Back to the motherland. To find out what she means to me. Back to the motherland. You can sing along if you like. I know she got a place for me. Back in the motherland. Yeah. Said I ain't going too far, and I try, but it gets hard to never be where you are. I need your loving. Said I ain't going too far, and I try, but it gets hard to never be where you are. So we're headed back to the motherland. She shouldn't have to wait on me. Yeah. To find out what she means to me. Back to the motherland. I know she got a place for me. Back in the motherland. Back in the motherland. Shout out to Aurora, Little Christy for the vocals on the track. My beautiful partner. Yeah. You can find this song on Spotify, Apple Music. There's a video on YouTube. That song won the Best Original Song Award for Cube Effect in the Brisbane City Council. So if you have any people that you know that are young people between the age of 12 and 24 that are musicians, aspiring musicians, look up the Cube Effect. I think it actually ends tomorrow, the applications, and I tell you, like, from my experience, it's a really amazing program, and I'd recommend it to anybody. But this next song, without further ado, is called Z's. Just follow along and enjoy the journey. 10 points to anybody that can guess the sample at the start. Yeah. Yeah, I said I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing like I do not care what you say. I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing. I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of people these days, bruh. I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of people these days, look. I said I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing like I do not care what you say. I'm out here trying to get paid, taking my people and save, observing and learning, respecting and earning the definition of a brave brother. Everybody on some other shit, working to get all my brothers rich, copping a pound, breaking it down, with flipping a pack just to make it hit. Risking my life on my innocence, just for the people to feel my shit. I never bend out a little bit, might take a little bit, but I'ma finish it. Want all the love all around me, I want all the cars all around me. I miss the free time, so I recline with the bars all around me. Whether I smoke all of that gas, whether I choke all of that, trying to give hope to ones that I know and taking it slow. They're growing up fast, getting this work, stealing they skirt to get in this time. Streets a church, know what I want, know what it's worth. It's all in my mind. I plan to be first, plan to be real, plan to get deals, trying to get signed for 17 mil, trying to keep away from all of that bullshit. Tell me, how does it feel? Because I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing like I do not care what you say. I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing. I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of people these days. I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of people these days. Break it down. As I walk through this life, I try to realize that my perspective of the world is just a reflection of myself. The way I view the world is just the way that I view myself. I gotta go within to find the answer and to find the peace. Yeah, I said I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of my ways. I'm tired of all my opinions. Do anyone care what I say? Why do I write on the page? Why do I get on the stage? Why do I share my pain? Does it get better with age? Man, I hope that it does. Just got back, spoke to my cuz. Just popped up to show me some love. What's good with you? Everything cuz. Everything calm, everything cool, everything real, everything great. Been on my thing, made some mistakes. Going through life, dodging the snakes. Exposing the fake, respect to the real. Need me, I'm there. You know the deal. No plan to stop till we hit a mill. Put all my grannies and all of my wheels. Put all the Benzes and all of my wheels. I really will see how you feel. I'm trying to go deeper inside. I'm trying to go deep in your mind. I'm trying to persuade you to find the heart of your essence, your blessing and why. Find your direction, set your intention and pray for protection and aim for the sky. Cause people gonna say what they say and people gonna do what they do. One thing that's for damn sure is can't nobody be you. I said I'm tired of all these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing like I do not care what you say. I'm tired of people these days. I'm tired of all of these fakes. I'm tired of all these opinions I'm hearing. Yeah, I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of people these days, bro. I said I'm tired of people these days, man. I said I'm tired of all these days. Thank you very much. I really... really appreciate all the support and you guys coming out today to listen to the stories that we had to tell, the stories that we had to share. Thank you to Le Bois, thank you to Aurora, Backlash, Brisbane Writers Festival, Highway Festival. Thank you so much for making this possible. And I did say 10 points to anybody who could guess the sample. Donny Hathaway, yes. 10 points to you. No, but seriously though, if you don't know Donny Hathaway, you don't know that song, it's a great song. It's called Song for You by Donny Hathaway. But yeah, thank you so much. Please join us outside for a couple of drinks. Only a couple, if you got to drive. And yeah, happy to have a chat, yarn with you out there, and hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe, be happy, be peaceful.